Hey guys, it's me, it's Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, pass it on to somebody else who might like it too, and drop us a positive comment in the comment section. And don't forget to stick around to the end because I'm going to read some positive comments. Now, I want to tell you before I start talking that it's raining. So you might hear the window is closed and everything, but a lot of times in my videos you can hear the pitter patter in the background when it rains. Costa Rica has a rainy season and we're in it. So I have to, Mother Nature is dealing with me. Now, today I wanted to talk about sexuality because it is June and it's the end of Pride Month and I have not talked about my sexuality. Oh my God, how could I do that? So I wanted to tell you guys my coming out stories. I thought that would be fun, huh? Basically, a lot of you already know that from the very beginning of my life, as early as I can remember, I had an attraction to males and females. I never had just one attraction. Some people remember liking one thing or another. I remember different instances liking different things. Like being the first thing I remember is being 3 years old and watching this movie. I think it's called 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy. It was the first one. And there was a scene where this woman walks across the room naked. And I had never seen a naked woman before because my mom and my sister were always dressed, thank God. So I'm the one that never had clothes on. So I'd never seen another person, a woman. I was a kid. I never seen a woman naked. So I was like looking at the screen in shock. And I also remember having a crush on Prince. I thought Prince was so cute, but he has a very feminine look. So maybe that was why. And I just remember crushes on males and females all the way up. But I knew that it was acceptable from what I heard people saying. I knew it was acceptable to have crushes on males or to think a guy was cute, and that the other way, thinking a woman was a beautiful, was not acceptable. It was like, okay, you can't do that. My mother would talk about bull daggers, okay? That was her word for gay women. And that was everybody's word, as a matter of fact, for gay women in the neighborhood. So I didn't know at first. And when I asked her what it was and she told me, I realized she was talking about me. I'm like, oh, shoot, I think women are beautiful. I think they're attractive. So I learned at 3-4 years old, this is something you have to hide. And that's something I learned from my mother, is what things I had to hide, you know. A child in general, and it depends on the child too. Some children just don't do this. But a child, some of us, will learn what not to hide. We're not going to stop the behavior. We just learn not to let nobody know about the behavior. So that's what happened with me. So I had many experiences at 4, 5. A little girl kissed me up the street. You know, I had a whole bunch of experiences throughout my lifetime that I just hid. I just kept them quiet, you know. And it was something that it was experiences. They were small, but it was never a major thing. And I didn't think it was a big deal. I thought at first, I used to always tell people that knew about it, my best friends, that I was heterosexual with bi tendencies. That was my, Aquarius got to intellectualize everything. So I was heterosexual bi tendencies. Then I was just straight up bi. It was just like, I had dated too many women at that point. So it was a gradual thing. It was more of like, my daughter's father said it was basically trial and error, and I think he was right. So let me tell you really fast my coming out stories. Now, most people come out one time. They tell whoever they tell, and that's it. I got the pleasure of coming out twice. Okay? And both times were public. And when I say public, I mean public. The first time I came out, I was in college. I was 20-something years old, 21, 22, somewhere in there. And I was in the throes of activism. I was leading marches against racism. I had, leading marches for Mamiya Abu Jamal. We were just like, we were on fire, man. We were just we were trying to change the world, man. And we were so young that we didn't even realize that that might be difficult. Okay. So we were in the throes of that. And at the same time, I started working on my paper. For my master's degree, I did a paper on women of color in the LGBTQ community. So I had started it at that same time. And it was so strange. It was like I was doing all this activism kind of stuff. My paper, I was writing and researching the paper. All of these gay people came out of nowhere. This is the funniest thing in the world. And I always tell people this. I'm like, you really don't know who's gay. Because when I came out, all these people came and told me they were gay. That I had no clue. Okay? No clue. All these people came out of the woodwork, offered support, offered encouragement, offered reading materials, support groups, the whole nine. They came out of everywhere. And these were people that I had been around every day. They had never mentioned somebody of the same sex. As a matter of fact, many of them either mentioned somebody of a different sex or they didn't mention anybody at all. Like our conversations just never went there. And it was so weird to me how many people I knew. If you had asked me, do you know any gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender people or questioning people? I would have said no. I would have been like, maybe one on my block. Basically, no. I knew a lot. I knew a lot, but they weren't comfortable being open, being out. They were closeted, which is a choice. You have to decide if you want to be out or not. And some people choose one or the other. So I came out. All these people came out of nowhere, offered support, and that was great. At the time, I was leading marches, so of course it was extremely public. It was I was in the paper all the time. So of course that was one of the things, that came up about me was my sexuality. And it was just very public. It was just very, very public. As soon as, I started to research the paper, I started to identify, people found out, I was talking to other gay people, other people found out through word of mouth. And then it was just like part of my identity. Because when you are not heterosexual, people make mention of it. It's like so-and-so, she's black, she's gay, she's that. It becomes part of the things that people say about you, positive or negative. So it just came out and everybody knew. At a time when I was still trying to figure out what exactly it was. So it came out, I just rolled with it, never looked back. So that was college. So now everybody pretty much knows. And out of my friends and people like that, my family kind of knew. They found out a little bit later. Everybody I really talked to, friends and was close to, knew first. Then family heard about it, and that was pretty much it. So then a couple years later, about maybe 10 years later, I'm working for the school district. Now, I'm not out at the school district because I felt as though professionally, as far as the school district was concerned, it could be detrimental. I could experience all kinds of, discrimination and things like that. So I didn't tell nobody. I just did my job and kept my mouth shut and did my business. Well, the gay kids, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans kids started coming to me. We always had a good relationship. Me and my students always had a good relationship. I never had a problem with them. It was usually the adults that irked me. But me and the kids had a great relationship. And they would always come and tell me things that happened to them. And the kids in the LGBTQ community kept coming to me and telling me about being discriminated against or being treated some type of way by security or by another teacher or something along those lines. And they had no support at home. Most of them Not all of them. Some of them did have support at home, but a good majority had no support at home. Some of them were totally in the closet, and a couple of them got kicked out the house. I mean, all kind of things were happening, and they were coming to me and telling me about it, and I was just like, somebody has got to help these kids. Somebody has got to help them, because it's clear that they're living out their sexuality. They knew way before I did. I was in college when all this came up. They're 14, 15, 16 in relationships. They already, having, maybe not sex, but close, damn near close to it. And some of them were, having sex. So it was like, oh my God. And everybody around them is either shunning them or ignoring them or telling them that they don't know what they're talking about. You're too young to know what you like. Well, she tongue kissing broads in the bathroom. She knows something. She knows something. And they need some productive information. They need some support. So for me, it was always clapping back to the parent like, yo, your child is going through something. Help her out. And it was always clap back at me like, I don't know what to do with this. A lot of parents told me straight up, not just about sexuality too. A lot of parents told me straight up, I don't know what to do with my child. I heard that statement more times than I care to remember. So I went to my vice principal and I said, look here, this is what's happening. What do I do about it? And he came back to me. I'll never forget him. He was a tall, bald, black guy, nice guy, loved him. He came back to me and said, look here, nobody wants to touch this. Nobody wants no parts of this. So if you want them to have help, you're going to have to do it. And he explained to me the school district's policy. We had a group, somebody in the district that handled these things. But a teacher had to agree to be the liaison and stay after school and be in charge and things like that. So basically, if I wanted them to have some help, I had to do it. I had to set it up, I had to create it, I had to run it. So the school allowed me to start what is called a gay-straight alliance. And that is how that started. They was like, look, it's going to have to be you. Because I didn't want to do it. I'm going to be straight up with you. I didn't want to do it. I wanted them to do something about it. I was throwing it to him like, yo, these is your students. This is a problem. They need some help. And he was like, look, unless you're going to do it, sorry. Nothing happening. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I did. He gave me the information. I read up on it. I contacted the appropriate people, and I started doing a weekly group, and it turned into a support group, and I would have food, and other teachers would come help me sometimes. I had a couple teachers that did come who helped. I had speakers come. I had a lot of support from the gay community in Philadelphia. Kudos to them. They would come to the school and talk to the kids, bring pamphlets, sexual education courses, all the stuff that I was talking about, helping them with housing, helping them with mental health. Everything I was talking about, I got help through these organizations that were affiliated with the school district. And I did that for the rest of my time as a teacher. I did it for, oh my God, it had to be 8 years. It was a long time. And I had a lot of students, and I still talk to many of them. I still see many of them online. And it was quite a ride. But that was how I got outed, because when I started the organization, when I started the, I ain't gonna call it an organization, when I started the support group, let's call it that. When I started the support group, I ended up taking the kids to different events. And of course, I was already known in the community, so everybody knew, So on National Coming Out Day, we had went to the school district to have this conversation about lesbian and gay history being included in the district. And of course, there were people for it and people against it. And it was in the newspaper, and yours truly was up in the newspaper. And my statement had to do with being a lesbian of color, blah, 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 blah. And of course, that statement was in the Philadelphia Inquirer. So everybody who didn't already know from the very public outing that was in papers, Temple newspapers, in college, now got a chance to see it in 10 years later when I'm running the Gay Straight Alliance. So everybody who didn't know knew at that point. It was, I mean, everybody. My mom had the paper. I mean, everybody knew about it at that point. It was teachers and the whispering in the parking lot and pointing at me. It was quite the spectacle. Okay. And it wasn't fun, to be honest with you. It wasn't fun at all, because it was a lot of people showing their discrimination and their ignorance. And I was in the Black community, and it was a big rift between us, because I've always been a person who was very into my community. I've always been a very pro-Black kind of person, not anti anybody else, just down with my culture and wanting to see my race uplift. And a lot of people stopped talking to me. A lot of people started acting shady. A lot of people had little, nastiness. Not everybody. Some people were really cool. I mean, overly cool. And some people were underwhelming. Okay. People who I expected it not really to be a big deal. It's like, you've known me all this time. What difference does it make? Started to act funny or started to be fickle. So I came out twice, extremely publicly, more publicly than I would have liked. I would have liked to quietly come out, and just do my thing. But that wasn't my destiny. And I understand that now. My life has been a testimony for people who come after me or beside me or whatever the case is. And I've figured that out over the years. So, because I used to wonder to myself, why was my, situations in a lot of cases so public without, me wanting it to be that way? And I realized because it was so many things that happened after that. And I kind of paved the way. The Aquarius is often, I told you guys, the leader. So I paved the way for a lot of other people to get comfortable with themselves and so forth and so on. So it wasn't an easy process, and it did happen twice instead of once. But I'm glad with that. At this point in my life, I'm 43 years old. I've been dealing with this since I was 20 something in college. I've known since I was 3 or 4 years old. So at this point in my life, I really just don't care, because it's been so long. At this point, I'm just like, I don't care who is discriminating. I don't care who doesn't like me because of it. I don't care who got something nasty to say. I just don't care anymore, because at this point in my life, I just feel like I've been dealing with it for so long. It's just who I am. And a lot of people are not going to like you for who you are. They're not going to like you because of your skin color. They're not going to like you because your gender. Not going to like you because of your sexuality. A lot of people are not going to like you for some superficial, artificial reason that they have, manufactured. And to me, that's not my problem. That's their problem. So I've never cared about losing opportunities or who didn't like me, because I always knew that what was meant for me would be mine. And to be honest with you, I've never dealt with extreme issues. I've dealt with some negativity, but I haven't dealt with extreme issues that really mattered to me because of my sexuality. Anybody who shunned me or didn't like me or whatever the case is, I moved on to another opportunity, So if you're out there and you're dealing with your sexuality, regardless of your age, just know that I would say get comfortable with yourself. Once you're comfortable with yourself, everything else doesn't matter. You have to get comfortable with yourself. You have to see yourself. You have to look at yourself and be okay with who you see in the mirror. And once you love that person that's in the mirror and you're like, you know what? That's just me. It is what it is. And once you can say that and look in the mirror and love that person, everything else doesn't really matter. Whoever doesn't love that person, that's on them. All right, now we are going to take a look at some of my favorite comments. This one came from J.K. Humble. J.K. Humble said, I think us fixed science go after each other a lot, I see. My Aquarius once told me he loves me once, and we've been together almost 2 years. Only said it once in 2 years. Oh my God. And guess what? It's fine with me. I'm a feeler, and I can feel if a person loves me or not. Yeah, I mean, if you can feel it and you're happy with that, then that's fine. But me, I'm a feeler too. I could feel it, but I still want to hear it. Damn it, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. You ain't got to tell everybody, but you at least got to tell me, you know? And Irma Nito, hey Irma, she said, I don't like to watch disturbed people or the ones that curse a lot. I watch to learn and to grow to a positive energy. I agree with you 100%. I don't like to watch disturbed people, although there have been people in the past that I just couldn't believe. Like I just couldn't believe. Like I said, a train wreck. Like you just like, oh my God. But I've come to a space where I realize, and I've realized this for a long time now, the things that you ingest become a part of you. So I'm careful what I ingest, especially spiritually, emotionally, mentally. I'm real careful with that. So I agree with you 100%. Positive energy is the way to go. All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And do not forget to come back soon because I have so much more to say. And if you want to get a reading done, email me. All my information is underneath this video, and I'll give you an appointment. Okay? See you later.